This week, iTunes 11, an official launch window for Windows Phone 7.8, BBJam Asia, and more. This is the Mobile Nation's Monday Brief. Greetings, mobile delegates. I'm Ashley Esqueda, and you're tuned in to the Mobile Nation's Monday Brief. CrackBerry was all abuzz last week as BBJam Asia was in full swing. RIM brought a smorgasbord of changes to the BlackBerry developer program, including updates to tools, rewards, revenue, and hardware. The BlackBerry 10 SDK is getting an update with some requested features and will be launching in full on December 11th. Next, RIM opened up the Built for BlackBerry Certification Lab, which is a required certification for the BlackBerry 10K developer commitment. They also added a new Dev Alpha device, the Dev Alpha C, which is the newest piece of development hardware, and it touts the quintessential physical keyboard you CrackBerry addicts know and love. Lastly, and this is my favorite piece of news, RIM announced that current BB10 developers can apply for eligibility to swap their Dev Alpha unit for a real, working, and limited edition BlackBerry 10 device after launch. It's a really cool way for RIM to say thank you to a dev community that's been working hard to make sure App World is populated with great content when BB10 launches. There's a lot more to BBJam Asia though, so head over to crackberry.com for more info. iMore was talking about the launch of iTunes 11 last week. Nobody was really sure if Apple was going to make their November 2011. What am I even saying? iMore was talking about the launch of iTunes 11 last week. Nobody was really sure if Apple was going to make their November launch window, but they squeaked in at the last minute and released the update on time. Obviously, the big change is the look of iTunes because it's been morphed into a much more visual interface with menus and clutter tucked away a little more neatly. That's not to say it hasn't had issues. Many users complained of random error messages and strange bugs in the new build, but hopefully Apple will patch those things up quickly and without incident. Others are torn between the old familiar feel of iTunes 10 and the new iOS-like design of iTunes 11. Either way, Apple is moving forward with this new version, so if you're an iTunes user by choice or by force, it's probably best to update and get used to the new. When WebOSNation is surprised by a Hewlett-Packard move, it's usually bad news. But this past week, Derek and the gang were pleasantly surprised by a very generous offering from Hewlett-Packard and its GBU spin-off company, Graham. It seems as if they're pretty happy with the crazy good work the WebOS ports team is doing on OpenWebOS, and to reward all of their hard work, HP and Graham have donated 5 heavyweight servers to them. It's a gift valued at over $68,000 and one that the WebOS ports team can definitely use in their quest to get the open source OS onto other devices. It's not the in-house hardware production WebOS fans really want, but it's a huge gesture by HP showing that they are supportive of the hard work the ports team has been doing. It's also nice to see WebOS has a CEO that doesn't totally hate them. Thanks, Meg. Windows Phone Central knows a lot of you who bought Windows Phone devices earlier this year were not too thrilled with the news that they would not be upgradable to Windows Phone 8. While that's still true, Windows Phone owners who've been waiting for the 7.8 update finally have a release window to look forward to. Microsoft's corporate vice president for Windows Phone, Terry Myerson, has officially gone on record to state that the update will hit in early 2013. We know it's not exactly as soon as you were hoping for, but the update will bring Windows Phone 7 devices as close as possible to Windows Phone 8. That means you get the updated start screen, the lock screen, the new accent colors, and more. So you'll be able to get that in the new year, but let's just hope it's not too much into the new year. Otherwise, we're going to have some really annoyed Lumia 900 and Titan 2 owners on our hands. If you want more info about the release, check out WPCentral.com. Android Central spent some time this last week on their podcast talking about the Nexus 4, specifically its lack of LTE. Or is it? If you haven't heard, the hardware actually exists inside the Nexus 4 to grab an LTE signal on a few bands. It's just not enabled or licensed by the FCC. At least it's disabled unless you have Band 4 LTE service, which is available in Canada, and you enter in some simple information to toggle that signal option. And in text, Brian Klug sat down with Phil and the Android Central crew to discuss the quirk, and it's a pretty interesting conversation if you're really into the nuts and bolts of the newest Nexus phone. We're not sure if Google will disable the ability to toggle the signal on in a future software update, but we're guessing they probably will at some point. Until then, you can jump on AndroidCentral.com for more information and listen to the podcast. That's it for your Mobile Nations Monday Brief. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/MobileNations. Check out our dazzling and informative podcasts at mobilenations.com/shows. And you can follow me on Twitter at Ashley Esqueda. Nations, you have been briefed.